Rose Garden, and welcome to the first book review of 2026. I'm Avalon Roselin, indie author, and your tattooed angel for the evening. Be Not Afraid is the most recent novella release from Jeanet, author of The Devil in the Woods, which has a full review on this channel, and Hymn of Memory, which I reviewed in my Yule 2025 wrap-up. I have to specify that Be Not Afraid is the most recent novella because just a few days ago, Jeanet dropped Immortality in the Marrow, a short story. So now, Be Not Afraid isn't the most recent release generally. Thanks for messing up my script, Jeanet! When deadbeat guitarist Trent takes a shortcut home through the park at 3 a.m., he isn't anticipating much trouble. And he definitely isn't anticipating that the trouble will come in the form of 5 bloodthirsty angels kidnapping him into a Rolls Royce, or that he'll be rescued by another angel wielding a lead pipe. But it happens. Now trapped in a warped reflection of reality, Trent and Seth, the angel, must find a way to get him back home before the Seraphs can use his blood to awaken God and reset the world. Being that Be Not Afraid is a novella, the pacing is very snappy. The reader gets a brief introduction to Trent and his current situation, having been kicked out of his band for causing too many problems, and the general apathy he has toward life as a drifter with no great ambition or personal connections. Then he gets abducted by angels, rescued, and he and Seth spend pretty much the rest of the night on the run as they try to get to a church so Seth can send Trent home. The action scenes are well paced, with some downtime between them to let the readers and characters catch a breath before it's time to run or fight again. Being an angel, sort of, Seth cannot die, but it is still upsetting to see him get hurt while he's defending Trent, so the stakes feel very much present despite his immortal status. The Seraphs serve as an excellent antagonist throughout the novella, growing more and more violent as control slips further and further from their grasp. They're eerie and unsettling in their presentation, their morals are nigh incomprehensible to a human, and they likewise fundamentally do not understand humanity. They crave human experience to the point of creating maybe angels like Seth and eating them to obtain memories of human experiences, but they do not value humanity at all. In fact, they're so bad at it that Seth informs Trent early on that their plan to use his blood to awaken God probably wouldn't work. Not because God wouldn't wake up in the presence of human blood, but because the Seraphs probably would have killed Trent by accident before they could even get him in range of the slumbering deity. One of Be Not Afraid's comp titles was Silent Hill, and it delivers on the same eerie atmosphere of being set in almost the real world, but not quite. Liminal spaces are the most developed: gas stations, subways, motels, but there is a distinct sense that the world of the angels is not hospitable to human life. It is dark and cold, run down at best, absent of all comfort or other people, absent of the humanity that the Seraphs so clearly cannot replicate. While there is already more than enough motivation for Trent to want to get back to his own world, I fully expected there to be a ticking clock in the sense that Trent cannot exist within that world for long. The descriptions created a feeling of dread and anxiety in every scene, even when Seth and Trent managed to catch a moment to rest and talk, knowing they weren't truly safe anywhere. At the same time, I couldn't help but feel a bit hopeful, even cheered up, by the value that humanity so clearly holds within Be Not Afraid's world. The Seraphs are quick to dismiss Trent as an individual, claiming that they weren't taking him for any special reason. He was just there, and any human will do for their purposes. But any human will do because all humans are special. As Seth says, every human contains some of God's love. Every single one. Living as a definitive other in a heavily Christian region, I admit that I have developed a lot of bitterness and resentment toward the Christianity I see practiced around me, the kind that emphasizes exclusion of all other beliefs, demonizing anyone who doesn't align with their views. So it is actually a bit refreshing to see the message that every human is loved by God, even if I no longer follow that religion. This is why the narrative follows Trent, someone who is, well, pretty down on his luck and really only has himself to blame. He drinks and smokes too much, he gets into fights at bars, and gets his band, well, banned, so they kick him out. He's going through the motions, making it from one day to the next with no real plan or goals for himself aside from trying not to lose his apartment. He has no one in his life aside from his cat. He's the kind of person that the Christians I was talking about a moment ago would definitely turn up their noses at. Trent is, frankly, a mess. He is wasting his potential. He is making bad decisions with his life. So it's very fitting that, of all people, he is the one who is taken by the angels, because he is still a human and still loved by God, regardless of the circumstances that led him to be walking home through a park at 3 a.m. And despite it all, for all the world's flaws and his own, he wants to keep living in that world, not whatever the Seraphs would seek to replace it with. Now, I do have some criticisms. Mainly that I felt like Trent was a little underdeveloped. I would have liked to know more about why he was the way he was at the start. I'm not saying that he needed to have some kind of epiphany and change his entire life, or that he needed to have a traumatic backstory to explain his actions. He absolutely could smoke and drink and get into bar fights just because that's his personality or what he likes to do. But I never felt like I really got to know Trent as a character, and since the action picks up pretty much immediately, there isn't a lot of downtime to explore him as a person. I suppose it doesn't fully matter when the point of the narrative is that every human, even the ones that aren't living their best lives, still deserve to live as they wish. But I would have liked a little more so I could connect with him. Especially with a comp title like Silent Hill. Just something to make the hellish experience a little more personalized to him so I could better understand his flaws and motives, you know? Of course, my favorite character is Seth. What can I say? I have a weakness for white-haired angel boys. Seth is a maybe angel, a being created by the Seraphs to infiltrate the human world and seek out human experiences to bring back to the Seraphs. They aren't meant to retain those memories after they're taken by the Seraphs, or to have identities of their own, yet Seth somehow does. I have my thoughts on why, but that would go into spoiler territory, so I'll save it for now. This fact makes him dangerous to the Seraphs, as he is willing and able to fight back against them and get Trent home using stolen divine magic. And Seth, too, is not what most of those Christians would think of as an angel. He has tattoos, even if he can't remember getting them. He frequents clubs and bars. He has casual sex, because these, too, are human experiences. At its core, Be Not Afraid is about what it means to be human, including all the parts that we might not want to acknowledge about ourselves, a theme that is explored in some of S. Jean's other works as well. Humans aren't perfect. Humans aren't angels. Sometimes they're not even good. And that, despite all the mess that comes with it, is what makes every single one of us unique and special. There is one other major theme, but it falls into spoiler territory, so I'm going to put up a quick warning, discuss it, and then wrap up this review. Thank you for watching this far into the video. There are spoilers ahead. If you would rather enjoy this media without spoilers, please stop here. But before you go, I'd really appreciate it if you left a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. You can also check out the links in the description for other ways that you can support Roselin Books, such as purchasing my books or becoming a supporter on Patreon or Ko-fi. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you again soon. Many of S. Jean's works focus on themes of memory and human connection, and Be Not Afraid is no exception. The reason why Seth is able to retain his sense of self even after being chewed up and spat out by seraphs, the reason why he comes to Trent's aid is because he has felt that deep sense of connection with him, and it has made him more than what he was, made him more human. Trent and Seth met before once, while Trent was playing at a show. They danced together, made out, might have done more if not for Seth being pulled back into Seraphland at the rising dawn. Though it was just one fleeting night, it left both of them changed, with Trent still recalling that moment fondly, even if it's hazy around the edges. There's no hint of supernatural connection between the two, unless you count Seth being an angel. They aren't soulmates or destined to be together or anything like that. They just connect. They just like each other. And that's enough. There is something so comforting about a story that, despite being gruesome and horrific, looks at these little moments between two people, these random occurrences that could easily mean nothing, and says, this is what it means to be human. This is enough. It's what the seraphs can't understand. Yes, humans can do amazing and wonderful things like fall in love. They can also get sloppy drunk and screw up one too many times. And neither is more valid or important to being human than the other. I would recommend Be Not Afraid if you like the vibes of Silent Hill and want a quick horror read that, after it takes you on a tour through hell, will let you land in a soft place. Be Not Afraid is available now in paperback and ebook, including options to buy directly from the author for maximum monetary support. I will put links in the description, so check it out if you're interested. Have you read Be Not Afraid? What about other horror books with angelic antagonists? Leave a comment below to let me know, and keep growing until next time, Rose Garden.